stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as we come together today, we give thanks for our many blessings. We pray for you to live among us and guide us as we conduct the business at hand. In your holy name, amen.
Clerk Golick, roll call.
Markovich.
Here.
Spitali. Here. Vanez.
Here.
Yawinski.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Higgs.
Here.
Emerson.
Here.
Rakels.
Here.
Pinker.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Golick. Moving on to reading of minutes.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
motion to accept the minutes from March 14, 2016.
Second.
The motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson, acceptance of the minutes. Is there any discussion on acceptance of the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. Moving on to approval of claims.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
move for approval of claims from March 9th through March 23rd for council meeting, March 28, 2016, beginning with claims dated 3/10/16 and ending with claims 3/23/16. Claim number 1638 through 1967 for a total of $6,499,361.85. I so move.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilwoman Vanez on the acceptance of the claims. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on acceptance of the claims? Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
Markovich. Yes. Spitali.
Yes.
Vanez.
Yes.
Yawinski. Yes. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Pinker.
Yes. Claims pass 9-0. Moving on to the public hearing. The public hearing is now open for ordinances 1606, 1607, and 1608. If anyone would like to come forth and voice their opinion on either ordinance, the podium is open. Hearing none, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Moving on to communications. Do we have any communications?
Mr. President?
Councilman Rakels.
Yes, the mayor and the city council got a letter from the school city. I'd like to read it. Dear Mayor McDermott, on Saturday, March 19th, 2016, Morton High School in Hammond hosted the 47th annual Scholastic Chess of Indiana State Team Chess Championships. A record-breaking 690 students in grades K through 12 from across the state competed for bragging rights to be called the top school teams in the following divisions: 3rd grade and under, 6th grade and under, 8th grade and under, and high school. Students as far away as Mount Vernon Junior High School came to Hammond and were impressed. I wish to personally thank you for the help provided by the City of Hammond, from picnic tables to EMA to EMTs. The City of Hammond provided assistance that helped make this event over the top. There were a few disgruntled parents who didn't want to come to Hammond because we were too far. Any negative comments the estimated crowd of 3,000 people had started to melt away when presented by EMA directing traffic and the school city of Hammond personnel using Hammond golf carts to shuttle people and belongings to the entrance of the tournament. Julie Bard, German teacher from Wawasee High School, Syracuse, wrote, I just wanted to send a quick thank you for the finals yesterday. There were so many positive things about the event: location, organization, pleasant atmosphere, friendly people, helpful people. I can't even imagine how much time and energy effort it takes to put together the state tourneys. I just know that this one was done very well. Thank you. I look forward to working with the City of Hammond again when we write our bid to secure the 48th Annual Scholastic Chess of Indiana State Team Chess Championships in 2017. And that was signed by Cindy Murphy, Hammond School Board.
Any other communications? Communications is now closed. Moving on to committee reports.
President,
Councilman Spitali?
council as a whole will be bringing out 1606, 1607, 1608, 1609, 1610, and 1611.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines?
yes, at this time, I would like to announce the upcoming Community and Crime Watch meetings. On Wednesday, March 30th, the Columbia Crime Watch will meet at Columbia School at 5:30 p.m. On Wednesday, April 6th, Edison Community Watch will meet at Edison School at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, March 30th, Edison on the Road will meet at the Golden Manor Senior Apartment Building on Columbia and 175th at 1 p.m. On Friday, April 1st, Irving Community Watch will meet at Irving School at 9:15 in the morning. On Wednesday, March 30th, Jefferson's Crime Watch will meet at Jefferson School, 6:30 p.m. And on Tuesday, March 29th, the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association will meet at the American Legion on Goslin at 6:30 p.m. And that is how change happens, one person, one gesture, one moment at a time. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Committee reports is now closed. Moving on to ordinances, third reading, final passage. Clerk Golick.
Ordinance 16-06, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. An ordinance to appropriate monies into the 2016 gaming fund.
President,
Councilman Spitali?
final passage of 1606.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilwoman Vines for final passage of 1606. Is there any discussion?
President,
Councilman Spitali?
transfer of funds from one year to the next, and it's done every year.
Any other discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on 1606.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, ordinance 1606 passes 9-0.
Ordinance 16-07, sponsored by Councilwoman Vines. An ordinance to appropriate funds in the Hotel Motel Innkeepers Tax Fund for the Hammond Park Department.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I move for final passage of 1607.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Vines, second by Councilman Spitali for final passage of 1607. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
this is appropriating funds from the operating balance in the amount of $17,488.40 to the Hotel Motel Fund to be used for promotional and advertising.
Any other discussion on 1607? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on 1607.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, ordinance 1607 passes 9-0.
Ordinance 16-08, sponsored by Councilwoman Vines. An ordinance to appropriate funds from the operating balance for the Hammond Park Department.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I move for final passage of 1608.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Vines, second by Councilman Spitali for final passage of 1608. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
this will appropriate funds from the operating balance in the amount of $57,000 to special events, which is $50,000, and key and cleanup refunds in the amount of $7,000.
Any other discussion on 1608? Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, ordinance 1608 passes 9-0.
Ordinance 16-09, sponsored by Councilman Spitali. An ordinance amending ordinance 3351, amending ordinance 4328 and 4654, also known as section 151.17 of the Hammond Municipal Code, as it relates to the composition of the Electrical Contractors Board.
Councilman Spitali.
Final passage of 1609.
Second.
The motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilwoman Vines for final passage of 1609. Is there any discussion?
President,
Councilman Spitali.
to be on the board, you have to be a resident of the city of Hammond. That's for all members. The members will be changed from 8 to another number to be discussed later.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
is it appropriate at this time to amend in the amendment? Okay.
Yes.
I move to amend in 16-09A in its entirety to replace 16-09.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilwoman Vines to amend 1609, second by Councilman Emerson. Is there any discussion on that amendment?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
I would like to make a couple of changes to this amendment. I would like to change the number of the members of this board from 8 to 7, and also under Section A, number 2, we will change from 2 to 1 lay members who are Hammond residents. Also, under C, it should read that 4 members of the Electrical Commission shall constitute a quorum.
Second.
Okay, there's an amended version, by Councilwoman Vines, second by Councilman Rakos. Is there any other discussion on the amended version? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on 1609 as amended.
Yes, Mr. President, I have these amendments that will amend the First Amendment. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was that, Clerk Golick?
The amendments that Councilwoman I had just read to us will amend the First Amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. On the Second Amendment, Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. Second amended version passes 9-0. Now on the
First Amendment,
First Amendment,
as amended.
as amended, is there any discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on the First Amendment.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. First Amendment passes 9-0. Now ordinance is written. Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
It's been amended in its entirety.
Oh, no, yeah, it's been, I'm sorry, that's my mistake.
Okay.
So 1609A passes, Second Amendment 9-0.
Ordinance 16-10, sponsored by Councilman Spitali. An ordinance amending ordinance 4880, also known as section 154.02 of the Hammond Municipal Code, as it relates to the composition of the HVAC Contractors Board, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
final passage of 1610.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson on passage of 1610. Is there any discussion?
President,
Councilman Spitali.
this also is all about residencies, those being all members in the city of Hammond.
Any other discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
yes, at this time, I would like to amend in 16-10A in its entirety to replace 1610.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Vines. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Spitali for second amendment on 1610. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
yes, I would like to amend the amendment. Under letter A, it says that the board shall consist of 8 members to serve, and we're going to change that to 7. And under number 5, we're going to change that from 2 lay members to 1 lay member. And under number 6, we are going to change the number 5 to 4 members shall constitute a quorum.
Okay, on the second amendment, Councilwoman Vines, I have your first. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any other discussion on the second amendment? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on the second amendment.
Markovich.
1610.
Yes. Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. 1610A, second amendment passes 9-0. Now on 1610, first amendment. Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes. 1610A, first amendment passes 9-0.
Yes.
Ordinance 16-11, sponsored by Councilman Opinker.
Did you vote on the final passage of the ordinance?
If they amended it in entirety, what is there to vote on? It wasn't just an amendment. The first amendment was to amend the ordinance in its entirety. You still want to vote on the first amendment?
You're only voting on the amendment, then you probably should do
The ordinance.
the original ordinance as amended for final vote then. Here, let me do it.
Right.
Mr. President, let's finish with this one, then we'll go back to the other one.
Okay, Clerk Golick. Moving on to 1611.
Well, we
No.
still need, we'll need to vote on this one on 1610 yet. I'm sorry, 1610 yet.
Okay, we're voting on 1610 originally in its entirety, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote on 1610, Clerk Golick.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, 1610 passes 9-0 in its entirety. We could either go back to 1609 and finish that, and then do 1611.
We'll just need to vote on the final passage.
Final passage of 1609.
Final passage as amended on 1609.
Roll call vote, Clerk Golick.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski. Torres.
Yes.
Higgs. Emerson.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, 1609 passes 9-0 in its entirety. Moving on to 1611.
Ordinance 16-11, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. And ordinance amending ordinance 3456, also known as section 150.026, of the Hammond Municipal Code as it relates to the composition of the Building Contractors Board.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
final passage of 1611.
There's a motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson for final passage of 1611. Is there any discussion?
President,
Councilman Spitali.
also all members have to be Hammond residents.
Okay, we got a amended version of 1611.
Mr. President?
Councilwoman Vines.
Yes, I would like to amend in 16-11A in its entirety to replace 16-11.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilwoman Vines, second by Councilman Rakos on the amended version of 1611. Is there any discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote on 1611A.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, 1611A passes 9-0. Now 1611 as written. Clerk Golick, roll call vote.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes, 1611 passes 9-0.
President Opinker, that concludes the ordinances for final passage.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Moving on to introduction of ordinances, there are none. Resolutions, there are none. New and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
there was an ordinance 14-21 that was passed, and I sponsored. The ordinance number was 9258. An ordinance amending ordinance 9249 relating to weeds, debris, and other matters at property subject to demolition. Whereas the ordinance 9249 was recently passed by the Common Council to provide for cutting of offensive weeds, etc., neglected, abandoned property in the city of Hammond. Whereas the Common Council finds that such conditions are often found on property subject to an order of demolition, and such properties were very likely to cause serious blight affecting the neighborhoods in which they are located. Therefore, its ordinance in the Common Council in the city of Hammond as follows. Ordinance 9249 is hereby amended and provided as follows. The provisions of the ordinance shall apply to and is strictly enforced as to the property subject to an order of demolition. In addition of grass, weeds, vegetation, undergrowth, debris, and other unsightly matters shall be removed from such property as soon as practical. Be it further ordained that the ordinance shall be effective from the passage by the Common Council, signed by the President of the Council, approved and signed by the Mayor, overridden and vetoed by the Council. This ordinance was particularly signed July 16, 2014. The reason I brought this ordinance up is because there are a number of properties within my district that have been demoed, and the trees and all the weeds are still remaining. Whatever company is selected to do the demos, I would appreciate if they would tear down the trees and take down the trees when they take down the home instead of leaving the trees sitting there. Particularly, there's one on 164th and Reverend Burns Drive that's been there since last year. They tore down the property and the trees are still sitting there. Who wants to look out their window and see a bunch of dead trees sitting across a vacant lot? It's just ridiculous. And I've sent letters and requested this over and over, and I don't know why the ball is being dropped, but I would really appreciate it if a letter be sent to the Board of Works and all the departments pertaining to this matter so that they will address this in my district as soon as possible. I so move.
There's a motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Torres to send a letter to code enforcement, building, as far as whoever does the demos to clean up the trees, weeds, whatever. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion granted.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs.
on 908 Becker, this property has been vacated for about 7 to 8 years and it still hasn't been demoed. I make a motion that a letter be sent to code enforcement so that the blue and white house, as well as, I know I sent a letter to about 838 Carroll also, but I think they're looking for the title for that property, but 908 Becker needs to be demoed. It's really bad. And in fact, the other two properties across the street, there's cats running out and everything, but particularly the one at 908 Becker needs to be demoed. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs, second by, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Torres to send a letter to Building Department in regards to 908 Becker in regards to a demo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion granted.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor?
I wanted to point out a couple council meetings ago, Councilman Markovich asked for a list of all board appointments appointed by the mayor and by the Hammond City Council, how much they make, when their terms started, when their terms expired, and we provided all that information to every council member today in a 3-page document, and I also provided it to the press. Has all appointments made by the city of Hammond, mayor's office, and by yourselves as a council body. So I wanted to point out that Councilman Markovich asked for that, and we made sure we got it by today's meeting. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm here to answer them.
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs?
the only you know, I don't have any problem with people sitting on boards particularly, but the only question I had was why some people were sitting on more than one board. Of course, I know now, since the stipend went from $50 to $200, more people are much more interested in being on board.
Sure.
And I think Councilman Markovich had brought up possibly having people submit resumes or applications for these board appointments like they do in some other cities. But my only concern was that some people are sitting on 3 different boards, and to me, that's ridiculous. But it's not my choice. I don't have the authority to point those
Mr. President?
particular positions.
Mr. Mayor?
And Councilman Higgs indicated that to me in the caucus, and if the council wants to do some type of ordinance to prevent that, that's your option as a council body. But right now, you could, as a civilian, you could be on more than one board. As an elected official, you cannot sit on boards, and that's what we're trying to follow. But I understand Councilman Higgs' concern, and if the council wanted to pass an ordinance that prevented that, I would conduct myself accordingly as mayor. But, and I do acknowledge there are, and I want to point out that I know the particular individual Councilman Higgs is talking about, and she was serving on multiple boards before the salaries were bumped up. Now that they're bumped up, it looks, you know, but I understand where he's coming from, but I do want to point out she was serving on a board that used to pay $35 a month, so I don't think she's doing it for the money. She was doing it to help the city, and in this case. So, but if the council wanted to conduct, or wanted to bring up an ordinance like that and pass it, that's your prerogative as a council. And if it becomes law in Hammond, obviously I'll conduct myself accordingly when I make appointments. And as far as Councilman Markovich's recommendation for a database of resumes, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, I'm still going to appoint who I appoint. Maybe it's somebody from that database, maybe it's not. But as long as I'm the mayor, I have the ability to appoint people to boards, and I will. And I try to do so based on a number of factors: diversity, professionalism. I like appointing homeowners to boards. You know, people that are knowledgeable in that area. These are the things I look at, and quite frankly, I think I've done pretty well without a database of resumes. But if you guys want to, you know, require a database of resumes, that's your prerogative as a council. You just got to pass an ordinance that requires that. So, and if that's required, and I have to look at the database of resumes, I will, and then I'll pick the best person and put them on the board. So, any other questions? I wanted to point out to Councilman Markovich that, you know, we did want to get this to you, and I apologize it wasn't with you earlier. You should have had that the last meeting, and I acknowledge, and that's my fault. Okay?
Mr. President,
Councilman Higgs?
I received a number of phone calls from my constituents near Kenwood School and Holman Avenue in Moraine for a number of vehicles being parked on the corner, and I guess it's an automotive repair shop or something of that nature. But I'm requesting a letter be sent to the chief of police as to what he's done to address the issue on Holman Avenue and just adjacent to Kenwood School, and I think that's Moraine. I think Ms. Jackson what street is that, Ms. Jackson?
It's, I think it's 6360 Holman Avenue, is on the corner of Cleveland and
Well, the chief will know because we discussed it, but I'd just like to know what his outcome was in regards to addressing that issue. I so moved.
Motion by Councilman Higgs to send a letter to the police chief in regard to 6300 block of Kenwood in regard to the parking area over there. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Markovich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion granted.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor?
I wanted to point something out. There was a reorganization that occurred in the Hammond Police Department on Thursday, and I talked to a few of the council members earlier today, and I wanted to update the rest of the Hammond City Council about the reorganization that took place in the Hammond Police Department. The Assistant Chief of Police, Jeff Long, agreed to take over as captain of the patrol division, and Jeff was outstanding as captain of patrol. Even though I think Jeff was an excellent assistant chief, I think that he was a better captain of patrol, and I wanted him, he recommended this, and I wanted him to do it because I think we need to up our game at the captain of patrol's position. So I accepted Assistant Chief Long's recommendation, and he is now a captain of patrol. So Jeff voluntarily stepped down in rank because he felt that we needed to step up our game in the patrol division. So that left the assistant chief's position open, and I reached an agreement today with previous Lieutenant Andy Short, who is a lieutenant, and he is now going to be Hammond's assistant chief of police. I believe this is the first time African-American police officer has ever held the rank of assistant chief of police. That's not the reason we chose him. He's an excellent police officer. He grew up in this neighborhood. He's conducted himself in an exemplary manner, and he took the promotion today, and he's excited, and I'm excited, and the Hammond Police Department's excited. So this is all the chief's recommendation, and I want to make it clear that I think Jeff Long is a trooper for voluntarily stepping down a rank so that he could take over a patrol division that he thought he could help with. But today, the new assistant chief, Andy Short, took over his position. I believe he begins officially tomorrow, but I wanted you all to know in the Hammond City Council, I think that's great news, and I know he's very happy and excited about taking over as assistant chief of police. So, but I did want to say thank you to Captain Jeff Long, who voluntarily took over a division. He thinks that he's better suited to be captain of patrol than he is to be assistant chief of police. And I appreciate Captain Long for doing that. I think that's leadership, and I think that's, you don't see too many people voluntarily take a step down in rank so that they could run a division that they think they could be more effective at. So, but Andy Short's going to be outstanding as assistant chief of police, and I think it's a very proud moment for him, for his family, and for the Hammond Police Department. Any questions about that? Obviously, this is the first public announcement I've made, and I'm on Go Hammond TV right now, and I have a Times reporter sitting next to me, but more importantly, I have you all in front of me, and I wanted you to know what was going on in the Hammond Police Department. So, yes, sir.
I commend you for the appointment of
Thank you.
Andy Short. I'm sure he'll do an excellent job.
He is outstanding. I agree.
I also, of course, know Jeff Long, and he's an outstanding person himself, and I'm sure he'll do well also as captain, while he was captain before. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it.
Commend you for that.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? All right. Thank you guys very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other new unfinished business?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
for those who were at the last council meeting, sometimes residents think that we don't listen to what you have to say. A gentleman pointed out that the 7-Eleven building on Homan Avenue was dark, no lights over there, and it was very dangerous. I'm glad to report that as the result of much communication, the lights are now on at 7-Eleven. We have found out that 7-Eleven does not own that building. They are leasing the building from someone who lives out of state, and through the efforts of several people, we have been able to make contact with 7-Eleven, make contact with the gentleman who owns the property, and hopefully we will see some results of that communication in the near future. So we do listen. Thank you very much.
Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. Public expression, the only one that signed up this evening would be Miss Carolyn Jackson.
evening, Carolyn Jackson, Forest Avenue. I come to you today because I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that Hammond High is no longer the school, the only school in the city that has a tennis team. Therefore, when they practice at the tennis courts there on Harrison at Harrison Park, that leaves them with no place to play tennis, to practice, unless they play at the older, dilapidated courts that are behind Edgar. Oftentimes, there's water standing on there, which renders them pretty much inoperable for those students. Now, if there's money available, then why can't we have those tennis courts resurfaced so that those children will have the opportunity to play on days when it's damp like today? The other thing is, I'm so happy to hear that we have Jeff Long going back to his old position, because today I happened to be over there and there was a man laying out there, slumped over there on the newer tennis court. And the mayor informed me that he was not dead, but he appeared to have been when they took him off, but thank God he was just intoxicated. But when these children get over there at that time of day, they don't need to be over there and observing things like that. So I am of the hopes that we will have some patrolmen going over there so that by the time these kids get out of school and go over there, they won't have to experience anything like what they experienced today. Thank you.
Thank you. It ends public expression. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Rako, second by Councilwoman Vines. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.